Right, well, good afternoon, everybody. It is Tuesday, the 13th of July, and it is just gone 2 o'clock, so we will start the Cabinet agenda for today. I think I've just got a few words of opening, as the Chairman's prerogative. Just to say thank you to all of those that supported a couple of both me and Peter for the swim marathon team, including Ken Lyon and his son Ben, who joined us. I know we raised a good amount for charity there, and I know that will go to good causes across Grantham. And particularly, I just wanted to highlight a couple of the visits I've done in the last couple of weeks, actually. One being, I was down in Stamford late last week at the old ambulance station, so the project that we delivered and pledged I think it was a couple of years ago now. And I met Linebridge PR, who are the new business that have taken that space up. So it's fantastic to see one of our old buildings back into use, restored, and also a local business being able to grow in that building. And also last week, it was on Friday, actually, I went to Walsall Manor to go meet with Ian Cooper from the National Trust. Interestingly enough, Ian Cooper was actually my first manager when I had my first job at Waitrose, so it's always quite nice to go back there. And it's incredible to see the plans that they are putting back into use in order to get the visitors back into our local area as well. And of course, I can't not say, but obviously, as we're all aware, the Prime Minister has confirmed that England moves to step 4 from the 19th of July. And I know we're all very cautious about this because obviously cases are high and rising. So I think the onus is on us that everybody needs to continue to act carefully and remain cautious. And some key restrictions will, of course, stay in place just to support those vulnerable residents across our district. And I know we're all observing some of those rules here today. So without that, we shall move on to the register of attendance, and apologies for absence. I know we are all here, but who's clerking today? Is it you, Graham? I'll hand over to you.
Thank you, Chairman. We have no apologies for absence today. Would you like me to do a roll call of attendance?
Yes, please.
Okay, so Councillor Kelham Cooke.
Present.
Councillor Barry Dobson. Councillor Annie Mason. Councillor Peter Mosley. Councillor Robert Reid. Councillor Nick Robbins. Councillor Adam Stokes. Present. Councillor Rosemary Trollope-Bellew. Councillor Linda Wotton.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for that. So therefore, moving on to agenda item number 2, which is the minutes for the meeting held on the 15th of June 2021. Do I have any comments, observations, or alterations to the minutes from anyone, please? No? In that case, could I ask for a proposer, please? Thank you, Councillor Robbins, and seconded by Councillor Adam Stokes. We'll take a vote of those present by a show of hands, please. And that is unanimous. Thank you very much. Therefore, moving on to item number 3, which is disclosure of interests. Of course, we do have your standing register of interest on the Council's files, where if there is anything you wish to disclose during this meeting, then please do not hesitate to do so at the appropriate time. Therefore, moving on to items for Cabinet decision, which are key. And the first report we are moving to is item number 4, which is the outturn position report. And if I can just say a few words on this, and I think the outturn reflects the most financially turbulent year I think the Council has faced for a significant amount of time. And I know all of us on Cabinet have worked throughout the year to ensure there was no adverse impact on Council services, and we implemented a primary objective of protecting the Council's financial position both in the year and in the medium term. And of course, as Councillor Stokes will probably allude to, we did present an amended budget to Council in September of last year in order to reset those budgets and provide members with an up-to-date projection for the financial forecast. Of course, we continue to work with the FedCo committee and constantly have updated finance reports throughout the year. And I know Adam presented 5 finance reports between June and February of last year. And the key outcome of the outturn is that there has been no need to rely on the Council's own reserves to balance the financial year due to slowing down expenditure and fully accessing the government's financial support packages. And they have been extremely welcome in terms of the support we have received from the government. So, of course, Cabinet is recommending the formation of a COVID recovery reserve in order to absorb any further financial pressures moving forwards. And I look forward to hearing the report from Councillor Stokes. Thank you.
Thank you, Leader. I'm sure you've got my notes in front of you. I mean, there we go. But I am pleased to be able to present the provisional outturn report for the financial year 2021. The report provides full details of the outturn position for both the general fund and the housing revenue account. It includes all the information related to revenue, capital and the reserve use during the year, together with supporting variance explanations. I'm asking my Cabinet colleagues to recommend the outturn position and the reserve movements to the Governance and Audit Committee, who will meet to consider the item next Wednesday on the 21st of July. I'm also asking the Cabinet to approve the budget carry forwards, which are detailed at Appendixes D and H and relate to both the General Fund and the HRA. Finally, I'm asking Cabinet to delegate the use of the newly established COVID Recovery Reserve, as previously mentioned, to the Chief Executive, the Section 151 officer, in consultation with the Cabinet member for Finance and Resources, which is myself. So I'll just go through the report a little bit. Obviously, within 3 weeks of the Council approving last year's 2021 budget, the country and the county went into lockdown and the budget framework was immediately under pressure. Members were updated with finance impact reports each month, which showed the financial position and identified corrective measures, the cash flow impact, collection rates, and the updates on government funding announcements. Members of FEDCO worked with the Cabinet on preparing the amended budget framework for 2021, and this was presented and approved by Council on the 17th of September 2020. The outturn for the General Fund shows a balanced position and no adverse impact on the frontline service delivery throughout the year, which is extremely positive. This is shown at Table 3 in the report, which is on page 12 of the pack. And supporting variance explanations are provided at Appendix B. The Council has utilised government support and does not need any use of its own reserves to balance the budget for the year, and this protects the financial position in readiness for the financial challenges ahead, which we all know there will be quite a few. It is proposed to create the specific COVID recovery reserve for 21-22 from unused government funding in order to further protect service budgets from ongoing disruption from any further social restrictions that can adversely affect income levels or require further spending pressures. The use of this reserve is included in the approvals being sought today. Members, if you go to Table 6 on page 14, which confirms the financial support the Council has received to fund specific service recovery, protect service delivery, and to provide financial support to both residents with the hardship fund and with businesses with their business grants. On top of this, the Council has received financial compensation for the reliefs that it has introduced to specific business sectors, specifically the retail and leisure. The report confirms the Council was able to access support from the Income Losses Compensation Scheme of over 650,000 for 2021, and this scheme continues to be available for the first quarter of the current financial year. So if we turn to the General Fund Capital, the outturn position is shown at Table 9 on page 16, shows an outturn of 2.2 million, largely funded by grants and reserves. I must point out to members that the capital reserves position is now at such a low position that financing of capital will now require accessing external borrowing, which will introduce additional costs to revenue budgets from next year. However, proposals will be coming forward in order for us to accelerate an asset disposal programme whereby capital receipts can be generated to avoid, where possible, any external borrowing. Turning to reserves, members' attention is drawn to the General Fund reserves position of 17.9 million, which is 15% reduction compared to levels at March 2020. We are aware that reserves levels will reduce further following the cessation of the New Homes Bonus Scheme completely from next year. So reserve levels and their use will continue to be a focus for us. Members can take assurance that our governance reserve levels remain strong, with the Budget Stabilisation Reserve protecting our services from unforeseen pressures. Details of these are shown at Appendix E. In terms of the HRA, the revenue outturn was broadly in line with the amended budget predictions, and rent recovery remained strong, despite recovery being suspended for the majority of the year. Variance explanations are provided at Appendix F. The capital programme outturn position was significantly less due to a deliberate pause on the new build programme pending the stock condition survey. This pause was the pause on significant spenders resulted in reserves position being stable throughout the year. Details of the HRA reserves position at the 31st of March 2020 is at Appendix I. And finally, turning to the proposed carry forwards, these include capital and revenue for both the General Fund and the HRA and are detailed at Appendix D and H in the pack. These carry forwards are to fund previously approved commitments which have either been delayed or will continue into 21-22. So what I'm asking the Cabinet to do is approve the recommendations 1 to 4, sorry, on page 7 and 8 of the report. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Councillor Stokes, for that comprehensive report. And actually, just indeed on table 6, when we were talking about the specific COVID grants, I think it's just important to note for those listening at home and also probably for the press is, the Reopening the High Street Safely Fund. We are working with the business clubs across the district in order to distribute that money to where it is needed and also what it is needed to go to in those local communities, as we do know that the business community really are vital to support during this difficult time. And of course, in relation to business grants, we continue to support businesses on a daily basis through Invest SK. And of course, we do have the discretionary grants. So if businesses do still require support, then please do get in touch with Invest SK, because ultimately, at the end of the day, if this money isn't spent locally, it will be returned to the Treasury. So any business in need, please do get in contact with us. But do I have any further speakers on this agenda item at all, please? No? Well, I'm very happy to second the report then, Adam. You've already presented it for a vote. So therefore, the recommendations on page 1 to 4, recommendations 1 to 4 on pages 7 and 8. If all those are in favour, would please like to indicate now. Super. Thank you very much. That is unanimous. Therefore, moving on to the items for Cabinet decision, which are non-key. And the first agenda item we have is the choice-based letting scheme consultation. I'll hand over to Councillor Reid, please, to present.
Thank you very much, Leader. Well, what we have here is the description is what's on the title of on the tin, really. It's good to have this discussion and hopefully with the support of Cabinet and members take this journey for this revision. As members of Cabinet will be aware, we're rolling out a significant improvement programmes across our social landlord services. But of course, we cannot forget our commitment to improve all aspects of the council's housing functions, including allocations, which are sometimes very hard pressed. The report presented to Cabinet today reflects our intention to review and improve how we allocate social housing properties and become available to relet within the district. The council's allocation policy is, as I before alluded to, it's due to be reviewed, and it's sensible to consider moving to a choice-based letting system as part of that review. Moving to a choice-based lettings is designed to give people looking for council homes the chance to choose their own home by bidding. I don't like that word bidding particularly, but probably selecting and giving more choice for the available properties when they're listed. The system works on a banding process, with those in the greatest housing need being placed in the highest band. Available properties are then advertised and applicants can bid for the properties that they are eligible for. The proposed consultation will allow us to capture feedback from current waiting list applicants, those who have recently been allocated a property, agencies who support residents through the process, and social landlords within the district who receive nominations from the council. It will help us ensure that we continue to provide support and information in the right format to residents who need it. And should the council decide to adopt the choice-based lettings approach, then that's the way forward. So I'm looking forward to listening to any debate and indeed, obviously being the proposer for the recommendations. Thank you, Leader.
No, thank you, Councillor Reid. And, as we all know, in our corporate plan, we have the priority of that housing that meets the needs of all residents. And of course, in our role as the housing authority for the district, the council has key responsibilities in the allocation of social housing. And it is about providing that mix of functioning housing offer alongside owner occupied and also private renters. And I think for me, making sure that these properties that become available for relet are let to the right person quickly and effectively. And it makes sense from both a financial and a social point of view. And I know a lot of us have discussed this for quite some time about having a really robust process in, but also capturing the feedback of the customers and stakeholders on any proposed changes prior to the review of the council's allocations policy shows that we are eager to engage with our residents and provide services that meet their needs. So thank you to you and your team for putting the work into this. Do I have any other comments from Cabinet members on this report at all? No? Do I have a seconder for Councillor Reid's proposal? Thank you, Councillor Dr. Peter Mosley. Okay, well, it's been proposed and seconded. Therefore, the recommendations are 1, 2, 2A, 2B, 2C on pages 49 and 50 of the report. Could all those members in favour please indicate? And that is unanimous. Thank you very much. Therefore, moving on to items for information, which are key and non-key decisions taken under delegated powers. Obviously, this is just for us to note the contents of this report. And obviously, the decision that was taken was the management of commercial assets. This was a non-key decision taken by the Cabinet Member for Housing and Property on the 8th of June 2021. Obviously, the date that was then effective was the 18th of June. Is there anything you wish to add on this one, Councillor Reid?
Not particularly, Leader, other than to sort of perhaps share my journey of how this has come forward. It took really the assurance from the Chief Executive and her previous experience of actually using Banks, Long and Co within the work that they do to actually make me feel really comfortable that this recommendation is one worthy of putting forward. Having done that, I'm therefore fully supportive. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Well, that report is just for noting. Therefore, we move on to agenda item number 7, which is the Cabinet Forward Plan from pages 85 to 92. Do we have any comments or queries on the forward plan that anybody would like to raise? No. Therefore, I'm happy to move forwards on to agenda item number 8, which is matters referred to Cabinet by the Council or overview and scrutiny committees. Well, obviously, all members will be aware of the importance of our commitment to meet all aspects of the Council's statutory and regulatory duties across the delivery of all our services. And clearly, our role as a social housing landlord places responsibilities on us to act in accordance with the requirements of both the regulator of social housing and the housing ombudsman. The housing customer feedback policy that is presented to Cabinet today obviously continues our improvement journey of our own housing service and makes clear to all our stakeholders the commitment to respond to and learn from that customer feedback as well. Obviously, there is exempt papers in this on Appendix 4, so if anybody does wish to discuss that, we'll need to go into closed session. But otherwise, we'll start the debate without closed session. I'm happy to hand over to you, Councillor Reid.
Thank you very much, Leader. I'm really going to enjoy presenting this. So the social housing white paper, the Charter for Social Housing Residents, published last November, sets out how government will work with the regulator for social housing, strengthening the formal standards which landlords are regulated. One of the key aspects of the Charter is for residents that have their complaints dealt with properly and fairly. In conjunction with the Social Housing White Paper, the Housing Ombudsman has introduced a new compliant handling code published in July. It is a requirement to handle complaints in accordance with this code. The proposed housing customer feedback policy sets out how South Kesteven District Council's housing service will deal with the customer feedback in the form of complaints, compliments, or comments. The new housing ombudsman scheme includes a new power enabling the housing ombudsman to issue a complaint handling failure order for non-compliance with the scheme or code. This is really sort of the starter key point, really. The draft feedback policy is consistent with the Ombudsman's complaint handling code, but we see many changes in the social white housing paper, and it is to go to a designated person, i.e. local councillor or MP, or wait 8 weeks before a customer can approach the housing ombudsman with a complaint, removing this democratic filter. Now, the reasons I'm enjoying presenting this is because we have done several things along this year, which I feel has been in readiness and takes us already along this journey. It is, and I really feel that we are evidence-based really for a better platform. Firstly, we have the members' first point of contact. And indeed, only this morning did I receive from a member in the south of the district who'd been using the service and has said on repeated occasions how it has improved various situations, and there has been a successful outcome. We are also using our ways of being accountable quite diligently, I think. The rant and rave facility that we actually are asking our customers, our residents, to actually tell us how the service is, and we're able to regulate getting the job back right first time. Also, is part of the preventative maintenance. And indeed, Propeller, if we use it properly, which is an IT system which monitors the compliance of our services. To give an example, gas services, when a gas service is done by Liberty, it's uploaded on that very night, and indeed gives us the data. Of course, you know, the flavour's in the pudding, isn't it? If we don't use the data, it's of no use, but it will also be very helpful. And again, it should put us in good readiness that, yes, we have this feedback policy, but hopefully we will only have people with a need to use it on a diminishing basis. Thank you, Leader.
No, thank you, Councillor Reid. I was just trying to work out if it was the flavour that was in the pudding or the proof is in the pudding, but I'm not going to correct you because I know you're more of a chef than I am. Do we have any comments from Cabinet members at all? No? Okay, well, the recommendations are, of course, 1A, 1B, 1C on page 93. I'm happy to second your proposal, Councillor Reid. Are all those members in favour, then please do indicate. Wonderful, that is unanimous. And at 2:25, that brings us to the end of our business for today. Of course, we have got, for those of you tuning in at home, we have got full council on Thursday at the Mears Leisure Centre. So I'll look forward to seeing